Hello, I'm SJ and this is Infinite Fire Readings. Thank you so much for being here. I do manifesting with tarot generally, and at the moment I'm predominantly focusing on manifestation. So, pardon me, that is where we are at current. I wanted to talk to you today about how everything is interconnected, and when you focus on what you want, you are bringing yourself towards it, or it towards you, or however you want to word it. And I wanted to do this with a fucking example of how specific this is. So again, we're using the trusty Mind Power by John Cahoe, and a bit of a personal story today as I was reading this. Literally just before this video, as I was reading it, I was like, I got mind blown because of my own experience that related to this book directly. So I really like this book. I've been recommending it. I've been reading it a lot. And I was out for dinner with a friend last night. For some reason, I grabbed this book and started reading it because they were like, bring it with you. I'm like, okay. So I brought it with me. And I spoke like that too. I didn't speak like that. But anyway, being silly. And I got up to this part and I put the bookmarking because I've read it before, but I thought, I'll reread it again at some point. I got up to the part where he's like, how I programmed my mind for prosperity and became wealthy. So it's basically John talking about his own story of how he transitioned from a state of poverty in 5 years to a state of complete abundance. And he talks about that. So he basically said he started us in a small cabin deep in the woods with no electricity and no running water. He had no money, but he understood the principles of prosperity and he began reprogramming his mind. So he talks about how he would count the abundance all around him. So no matter what he was doing, he would give thanks for the firewood he had. He'd say not one, not two pieces, but an abundance of firewood. If he had grapes, he'd be like, not one, not two grapes, but an abundance of grapes. When he'd walk through the forest, he'd be like, wow, an abundance of trees and an abundance of birds. And I don't know if he was saying wow, but, he was appreciating it. Anyway, as time went on, he got more abundant and gave lectures and started staying in bigger and bigger suites, etc. Anyway, so we get up to the part where he's talking about how he kind of realized when he'd made it. He realized when he was like, shit, like money is no longer an object. And that's the part where I was kind of like, phew. So he starts, he says, I still remember the day I had really arrived financially. It was at a party I was giving to celebrate my 5-year anniversary of teaching thought dynamics. I was in Sydney, Australia, which is where I reside, on a world tour, and I was staying in the presidential suite at the Sheraton Hotel. It was a lavish suite. The living room was almost the size of the lobby. A huge glass wall ran from floor to ceiling across the entire suite, and below me, all Sydney lay at my feet. The Opera House, the harbour, the sparkling city lights. It was a majestic sight. Now, I feel like I've sort of started to introduce that in maybe a less dazzling way, though it's still pretty dazzling to me. Like, I feel like I was like, look, I was also in Sydney, therefore, same person. No, so I have literally stayed in the presidential suite at the Sheraton Hotel. And I've actually stayed in the presidential and the ambassador suite in the Sheraton Hotel. And for me to be reading this, because I just felt so inclined to bookmark this part, when he's saying I was staying in the suite, it was a lavish suite. It is a very lavish suite. The room was almost the size of the lobby. A huge glass wall ran from floor to ceiling. It pans across. I can't remember if it's the presidential or the ambassador. I think that it is the presidential, but it's massive. It's a very beautiful, and it's like I'm pretty sure it's a curved wall of glass as well. And I realized I had stayed there and had a very luxurious night there, and in the other suite as well, both given as gifts by a good friend at the time who was in a situation where, I won't go into the story, but they could afford it, so they'd treat their friends, and we'd all stay in that suite. And I love it. I love that at the time that he realized that he'd made it, and he goes on to say it, he recognized, like he'd booked in this place for a month. He'd booked the suite out for an entire month. It wasn't an object. And I'm telling you, the suite is like, it's beautiful, He said money was no longer an object. I just wanted to talk about how everything is connected. So I read that chapter, and I've read this book before, and I've probably read it after I had that experience, but I never remembered that section of it, and I don't know how or why, or maybe I just went, oh, I've stayed in that suite. Though everything is connected, so I now affirm that that means I am already at my abundance, because literally the moment that this book that has been so inspiring to me, you know, when he hits the realization that it's no longer an object, he stayed in my own city of residence in a suite that I have already been in myself. So, and it's lavish, beautiful, it's luxury. It's the epitome of luxury in a lot of ways. So, I mean, you know, obviously depending on your own version, but it's pretty fucking spiffy. Like, it's, yeah, it's very nice. And I realized, holy shit, everything is truly connected, and what we are manifesting is coming towards us too. And yeah, I haven't studied this yet enough, and I will continue to do so. So maybe it's, you know, out of my depth to comment on it, though, you know, fuck it, I'm studying too. A lot of coaches that I listen to say signs precede, they do not follow. And what I take that to mean is that when you get signs like this, it is them preceding your manifestation. So they're not following it, it's your consciousness opening up, and then in comes your manifestation. So when you're recognizing and acknowledging the signs that are showing you, oh my gosh, that's totally on the right path, your manifestation is coming in. So I just wanted to share that story of how interconnected everything really is. And I think there was a story about this on The Secret as well, when the guy, one of the guys was manifesting his dream house with his vision boards, and I don't know, 5 or 10 years later, he looks back at his old vision board because his kid's like, Daddy, show me what this is, you know. And he opens the box, and inside, and it's, you know, based on a true story. He's telling the story from his actual experience. On his vision board was not a similar house, but the exact house that he was living in. The exact house he was living in. And I think he said he started crying, and the kid's like, what's wrong? He's like, nothing, I just realized exactly how manifestation works. I completely understand it now. It's perfect. So, yeah, another little similar story, which I really like as well. I do think that movie has some good tidbits in it. I do like that film. It was certainly big in its time, and yeah, I enjoyed it when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, this is great. And yeah, there's still little bits like that that are prevalent and very relevant. So yeah, I wanted to share that. Everything is connected, and you are on the right path. And that is such a big, beautiful sign to me, and I'm certain that you could find those signs in your own life as well. Don't mind the truck just going up the road there. Yeah, so anyway, that's my spiel, a little bit, oh, it's not as short as I thought it would be. Anyway, spiel done. Everything's connected, so stay the course. Keep affirming for what it is that you want, and you're going to start seeing your consciousness expand even back into the past and connecting to the future in ways that perhaps you'd completely forgotten about. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing, and it's preceding signs on the right path of what you are manifesting, absolutely, because you are becoming consciously aware of the abundance that your life has had and does have. So, yeah. That's my 2 cents on it. It's my thoughts on it. And again, still learning and growing. So feel free to comment below with any thoughts and insights, any successes or any experiences like this of your own as well. I love hearing about them. I really do. Like, subscribe as well if you haven't. And yeah, I'll catch you in your next reading/video. Bye.